Hey there, it's CJ Willie, and today I'm cracking a pack. I have in front of me an Ikoria Lair of Behemoths booster pack. So far I've been cracking packs in the standard format the last two videos. Got a great pull on Throne of Eldraine, decent pull on Theros Beyond Death. Let's see if we can keep it going with something awesome out of Ikoria, Lair of Behemoths. Let's get to cracking this pack. Okay, token, land, rare, uncommon, uncommon. I think. Let's go one more. I'll probably mess it up. Humble Naturalist, 2 mana, 1 and a green, human druid at 1/3. You can tap it, add 1 mana of any color, spend this mana only to cast a creature spell. In Limited, I liked Humble Naturalist quite a bit. Came down on turn 2. It helped mana ramp you into other, bigger, better creatures, and you could splash a third color. Reeking Claws, 2 mana, 1 and a red, instant. Target creature gains double strike until end of turn. It has cycling of 2 generic mana. In Limited, the cycling cards were very strong. This is a card that you could hold on to and give one of your creatures double strike, maybe to end the game. More often you were playing this in the white-red cycling deck. Flycatcher Giraffe, 5 mana, 4 and a green, Antelope Lizard at 3/5. Flycatcher Giraffe enters the battlefield with your choice of a vigilance counter or a reach counter on it. In Ikoria, I really like the choose your own counter theme. Once your creature entered the battlefield, it was great to see what the board state was and then choose a counter that best suited you. Flycatcher Giraffe was a little weak, vigilance, meh, but the reach counter mattered if you were dealing with a pesky flyer. Checkpoint Officer, 2 mana, 1 and a white, human soldier at 1/2. You can pay 1 and a white, tap it, and tap target creature. A little bit slower of a tapper effect. In Limited, it still had utility. If you needed to tap down their big flyer or their bomb, Checkpoint Officer did the trick. Keep Safe, 2 mana, 1 and a blue, instant. Counter target spell that targets a permanent you control, draw a card. In Limited, this card just didn't cut it. Too often I found it as a dead card sitting in my hand, as my opponent wasn't targeting any of my stuff. And a major drawback was it couldn't do anything against creature abilities or cycling abilities that targeted your creature. Plummet, 2 mana, 1 and a green, instant, destroy target creature with flying. In Limited, it's a great sideboard card. If your opponent has a flyer you can't deal with, you bring in Plummet and take care of that flyer. Excavation Mole, 3 mana, 2 and a green, mole at 3/3. It has trample. When Excavation Mole enters the battlefield, put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. In Limited, there weren't too many graveyard payoff effects. I was not a fan of Excavation Mole. Too often, when I started to mill, I would mill important cards into my graveyard. Although Black-Green had ways to get those cards back out of my graveyard, it just didn't fit into the theme. Cathartic Reunion, 2 mana, 1 and a red, sorcery. As an additional cost to cast the spell, discard 2 cards, draw 3 cards. In a blue-red spell slinger deck, Cathartic Reunion is a great card. Pitch a couple of lands, pitch a couple of lower impact cards, draw 3 new cards. Cavern Whisperer, 5 mana, 4 and a black, nightmare at 4/4. Has mutate for 4 mana, 3 and a black. It has menace. Whenever this creature mutates, each opponent discards a card. I like the mutate ability. The bonus you got when you mutated sometimes was pretty powerful. The drawback that I didn't like was that if they killed your creature, you lost 2 creatures. Cavern Whisperer coming down as a 4/4 menace was no joke, and having your opponent discard a card was also an added bonus. Day Squad Marshal, 4 mana, 3 and a white, human soldier at 3/3. When Day Squad Marshal enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. In Limited, this card was okay. 4 mana for a 3/3 is a little slow, even if you get the 1/1 body. Day Squad Marshal was either your 23rd card or one of the cards that you cut. First uncommon is Avian Oddity, 4 mana, 3 and a blue, bird at 2/4. It has flying. It also has cycling of 3 mana, 2 and a blue. When you cycle Avian Oddity, put a flying counter on target creature you control. A 4 mana 2/4 is not something I'm very excited about. Even paying 3 mana to put a flying counter on another creature is not great. However, if you're playing in a blue-green beefy deck and you can cycle Avian Oddity and put that flying counter on a bigger creature, that does make a difference. Splendor Mare, 3 mana, 2 and a white, Elk Unicorn at 3/3, has lifelink, has cycling of 2 mana, 1 and a white. When you cycle Splendor Mare, put a lifelink counter on target creature you control. Each color has a cycling ability to put a counter on another creature. For 3 mana, get a 3/3 lifelinker is pretty good. If you need to cycle it and put that counter on a bigger creature, that can be just as impactful as Avian Oddity putting a flying counter on a bigger creature. Final uncommon is Glowstone Recluse, 3 mana, 2 and a green, spider at 2/3, has mutate of 4 mana, 3 and a green, has reach. Whenever this creature mutates, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. Glowstone Recluse was a pretty strong card. Each time you mutated, it got bigger and bigger. The only drawback was if you continually mutated on top of it, you set yourself up to be disappointed. And if they killed Glowstone Recluse, you lost all of those creatures. Okay, well, we get a great rare or a mythic rare. We have Crystalline Giant, 3 generic mana, artifact creature giant at 3/3. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose a kind of counter at random that Crystalline Giant doesn't have on it from among Flying, First Strike, Death Touch, Hexproof, Lifelink, Menace, Reach, Trample, Vigilance, and +1/+1. Put a counter of that kind on Crystalline Giant. In Limited, this card was absolutely fun to play. Coming down as a 3/3 for 3 generic mana is pretty good. Being able to randomly choose a counter each combat to put onto Crystalline Giant is a really fun mechanic. There were a couple of games where I would have 3 to 4 different counters on Crystalline Giant, and it was really fun to see which counter you would get. It wasn't as impactful as you would think, but in a limited format, Crystalline Giant was a very fun card to draft and play. And then we have a Swiftwater Cliffs that enters the battlefield tapped. When Swiftwater Cliffs enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. You can tap it for a blue or a red, and a human soldier creature token at 1/1. My favorite card or best card out of the pack is going to be Crystalline Giant. In a limited format, this is the type of a creature that creates really fun gameplay. It takes away a little bit of your decision making because the counter you're putting on there is random, but it creates a lot of fun scenarios where your opponent has to try to figure out which counter you're going to get and how do those counters impact the board. It can go from a really bad creature on the board to a really good creature on the board, depending upon how your random luck goes. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did like it, please subscribe and share. Take some time to tell me in the comment section what was your favorite card or best card out of the pack. Until next time, I'm back to crack my next pack of Magic the Gathering.